Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we're going into the Week 9 Waiver Wire show. We'll go over all of the top ads for the week, but before we do that, make sure you guys go check us out on Twitter at the FF Prophet or Instagram, Fantasy Football Prophet. We're on YouTube at youtube.com/fantasyfootballprophet, and you can go actually support us on Patreon if you want as well at patreon.com/fantasyfootballprophet. So it's Week 9 waivers, Jeff. You would think there'd be somebody that would have stepped up at this point to be some big time ad, and it's really not happening this week, I'll say, unless you got somebody that's just must own.
No, I wish I had kept him from you and I could give a big reveal here, but it is slim pickings once again, and I think this might be the worst week yet. We have a few guys.
At least at running back, it's the worst.
Oh, by far. But really, throughout. There's a couple guys that I'm kind of interested in wide receiver wise, but running back is definitely bottom of the heap, and even QB right now. There's not that many great streaming options at the moment.
And I say our rule is typically players that are owned in 40% of leagues or less are the ones who make our list. So I'm going to break the rule here to start the episode. Talk before we get into those guys. I'll just talk about some guys that are maybe in the 40 to 50, under 60% range kind of a thing. So players like Aaron Jones is 48.2% right now. When Green Bay actually gave him a shot, he looked really good. And I think they should. So Aaron Jones, if he's out there in your league, you're picking him up over any of the guys that we're about to talk about. Probably Doug Martin as well, who he had a fumble which killed his day there, but he had 13 carries for 72 yards. So not a huge amount of carries, but he's still clearly the main guy there, I believe. He's their, lead back. Jalen Richard's going to be involved, but he only got 2 carries. So Doug Martin, if you're really needy at running back, pick up Doug Martin, pick up Aaron Jones. Which out of those, and then even Peyton Barber, he's 56% owned. Which he's this up and down thing. He said 2 of the last 3 weeks have been good. So, but if you take 3 of those guys, what order would you put Jones, Martin, Barber in?
Jones, Martin, Barber.
Would you do with that?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, perfectly said. Yeah, without doubt. Yeah. Martin is still intriguing because obviously, Lynch being out of the picture, I think he will be the main runner, even though it looks like Richard is going to be, the third down back pass catcher. But if he can start getting in the end zone, he's going to pay dividends. But I still think Aaron Jones, overall talent wise, he's the guy to have, even though he's not quite getting the amount of touches that we want yet. I think he would be the guy to own for sure out of those 3.
But they are all definitely ads, I would say at this point. Probably. There's other players owned higher than them that probably should be dropped. Even Corey Clement, who after the Jai injury, he's the one everyone's expecting to be the main guy there. But last 2 weeks, 8 carries, 6 yards, 4 carries, 6 yards. So Corey Clement can be dropped. You can just drop that guy. No, do you have any? Is there any need to keep him at all?
No, only if you're trying to fill in a bye week guy and you have a larger league, so you have to go really deep. But no, I have no interest in him. I don't think there's just no real reason to put him in your lineup unless you're desperate to fill a spot.
So how about then we actually talk about the players that made our list, which let's see, who would be your number 1 player? He's probably a wide receiver this week.
Yes, without a doubt, wide receiver. I don't even know if I would put them in a number 1, but obviously Kiki QT, because obviously with the injury to Fuller, his production is going to be relatively safe. He can catch a lot of balls. We've seen him do it before. He's only owned in 18.6% of ESPN leagues at the moment. He would probably be my number 1 because I think he can fill that role right away. There's a need for it, where the other guys below him, have their path hasn't been cleared out near as much.
He's probably my number 1. I just don't 100% know how healthy he is. He missed the game Thursday with the hamstring. should be fine. He did practice slightly before that. It was a Thursday night game, so it was tough to get him to play. So he should be fine. So I think he would be my number one. Yeah, because I think he's going to step into that production. I don't know if he plays the same exact role as Fuller. He's not going to be that same kind of guy exactly, but someone's going to have to get the ball there. Other than really, they can't just throw to DeAndre Hopkins every time.
Yeah.
They might try to, but they can't.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I think he has to be the number one pick up this week. He probably is that guy. I'll say my number two, I think is going to be Devontae Parker.
Yeah,
I think you got to see if he's for real.
I figured that you would say that, and I have a hard time telling you no, because he looked really good. They're in desperate need of a number one wide receiver. I would say that he's worth the try. I'd go back on my word about how annoyed I was with him. I think you have to give him a look-see.
Well, and he's one of the few guys down here who actually does have potential to be way up there. There's not a lot that have that. Parker's one of those.
I mean, yeah, and that's what's so frustrating about him. How many years, how many games can we say that about him before you just kind of write him off? Last game, it was kind of like showed me a glimpse of the kind of talent we keep, hoping to come out in the regular season. So yeah, I'm hopeful, but obviously I have my guard up, because how many times can one guy burn you?
This is it though for him. This is, for me at least, in my mind, he needs to do it now. And I want to take that risk though. If I don't have him and he's out there, I'd take the risk and hope that maybe something's clicked with the guy.
Yeah,
it's always possible.
And he is currently owned in 21.6% of leagues, so very available. Yeah.
And so I say my next guy is another wide receiver. It's going to be DJ Moore, the rookie, who finally played well. He's only owned at 10.4% of leagues, so he's way down there. Again, there's not a lot here. So DJ Moore, another guy I want to take a chance on and see if what he did was for real or not. Maybe he's starting to figure it out here as he gets into the second half of his first season. And I'd like to take that chance and see if maybe he's going to be that first round pick potential here. See what he can do.
Yep, I agree. He was a third on my list as well. And the kind of like the last official guy on my list is actually a more of a flyer, but I like the way he's trending. But that's going to be David Moore from Seattle. He's only owned in 2.7% of leagues. Maybe it's still too early to say this, but I feel like it's just wide open over there. I don't think Baldwin is going to get fully healthy. I think they need someone else to step up, and he looks like he can fit the role. And as you very well know, when Russell Wilson, has a good connection with the guy, it goes a long way. Hence why Baldwin was a perennial, Pro Bowler pretty much. But yeah, I mean, against Detroit this past week, 4 catches, 97 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, the touchdown production has been a little crazy, actually, because he has 4 touchdowns in the last 3 games. I don't expect that to continue, but I do expect them to try to work him into the playbook a little more. 4 and 97 is what I like to see. It's trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree with, especially when, a game like that is, the Detroit game here is a way for him to actually get a lot more usage even. They might see that, okay, he's done well with what he had before, and they get him a little bit more work, and he does even better. Why not keep trying him out? Doug Baldwin's not the same player right now. Tyler Lockett's fine, but there's not a lot of options there. I think you definitely try him here. I like it. So I especially in this how weak it is at there's the waiver wire this week. Week 9 has a lot of buys. There's a potential that you get in a deeper league. David Moore might have to be your option.
Yeah, and I
scary.
Yeah, it is a little bit. I do think he has enough upside that validates the idea that you could actually maybe play him. But yeah, it's definitely a risk one, because obviously he hasn't had when you haven't had more than 4 catches in a game, on a struggling offense at times, it's a little worrisome, especially when you're not a household name.
I'll throw out another wide receiver here. I'm going to put Cortland Sutton out here again. You talk about him a lot too, but this is even, he actually, doesn't have a lot of catches, but last few weeks even, this isn't huge production, but 7.8, 5.8, 8.8, 7.8. You could do worse. But this is also partially due to waiting to see if maybe Demaryius Thomas gets traded here. Deadline's just a couple days away. Maybe, just possibly, he gets traded. If he was to get traded, Cortland Sutton's value just skyrockets. So why not pick him up right now, just in case?
Yeah, and
that happens.
And you can pick him up for nothing, which is wonderful.
Exactly. Just take that chance. If it happens, wow.
But
and you just
man, that one's frustrating to me because I still believe he is the most talented wide receiver coming out of the class. And whenever they throw it to him, he looks unfreaking real, but they just don't throw it to him enough. I mean, as simple as that.
No, they really don't. He needs to get the ball more. So, yeah, it's disappointing that he doesn't. But I think, if that trade were to happen, he's really going to jump up there. Then, I guess I could throw Mike Williams' name out there because he's on he qualifies for the list right now. He hasn't been great, but again, this is another player that you just take a chance on. If you're, just want to throw a guy on your bench, he's not quite living up to what we hoped. But he's around, and Tyrell Williams, I guess, is another one from last week. Yet he's the bye week. People might have forgotten about him. Oh, I probably did. Looking at this with Tyrell Williams, he was added in 17% of leagues last week, so he's up to 25.6. I think if it wasn't for the bye, he'd be way up there after those games.
Oh,
so
without a doubt. I mean, I'm sure people were looking to add people they can actually play right away. Yes, he had 2 unbelievable games. The crazy part is he had 2 unbelievable games that were much better than anything before that, but he wasn't getting any more catches. Pretty much he's slotted for 3 receptions, and that's almost it. The fact that he was able to get 118 yards and a couple touchdowns, in both weeks 6 and 7 pretty much. I don't know if that can continue. I don't know if that's a fluky thing for 2 games or if this is his, role of stretching the field. I couldn't tell you. I don't feel safe picking him up, but obviously his numbers look better than the other guys that we've thrown out there.
They do. And it's one of those where, again, if you have the spot on your, I'd want the other guys ahead of him. So if those guys are taken in your league and Tyrell's the next one, you need a player, especially again with all these buys this week. Yeah, you could take a chance, see if there's something there. Because if he has one more week like that, then people are going to be scrambling for him.
Yeah, very true.
Then see if there's, not a lot of other guys around here. I would say tight end wise, Jack Doyle. Pick up Jack Doyle. I think that's a move to make.
Yep.
If you need a tight end. Probably not much else than that.
No.
Maybe if you're really desperate and even Doyle's gone, you could look at Ed Dixon, who just came back. Just because he got the touchdown. Only 2 catches, but that's just if you're desperate. Which some people are. Hayden Hurst, if you're desperate. Dallas Goedert. It's kind of ugly.
Yep.
It's not.
It's the life of a tight end this year.
Pretty much. So, we talked about those 3 running backs at the beginning that didn't actually qualify for our list. Is there anybody else at all this week? I guess Nyheim Hines officially qualifies 39.1%.
He's finally back on the radar, I guess. But even him,
I don't trust him.
No, knowing that I'm getting excited about it, I'm trying to go through him again just to see if there's anyone that I can even bring up to mention. If you want to try to get Deontay Foreman before anyone else, you could.
But Lamar Miller's been playing so good.
He's been playing great. So yeah, I don't even know if that is. And you have no idea what he's going to look like when he comes back. There's not anyone really with a whole lot of upside. I would have said Raheem Mostert again because he looked good with the few carries he had, but I believe it was our last episode, we talked about how frustrating, the San Francisco backfield is. So, I don't know if you can grab him and feel secure in playing him. It would be more of a stash kind of deal. I really don't have anyone else down here.
Josh Adams from Philadelphia had 9 carries, led the team in carries, 9 for 61. He looked pretty good in what he did there against Jacksonville. That's an interesting, deeper league running back ad. Clement hasn't looked good. Smallwood isn't really a guy who's going to get a lot of carries and do well with him. He hasn't. He's gotten opportunities. He did catch a touchdown, but maybe Josh Adams is just a guy it really has to be a deeper league probably, though. Put him on your team.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to wait and see with a guy like that.
Then another one, Elijah McGuire for the Jets. He's eligible to actually come back in Week 9. And with Powell gone, Crowell not playing well, really.
Yeah, that one is an interesting one. I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, he's just it's an interesting player. Because we really don't know what he is. He had some signs at the end of last year. We don't know if he's actually anything worthwhile. But
you were hyping him up big. I don't know if everyone remembers all the way back in the beginning of the season, but they were, everyone gets amped up. But one of the coaches even, referred to him as a Tomlinson type player. They were hyping this guy up to no end, and then he got hurt immediately. But who knows? Maybe he really was looking that good. So it is an interesting one because obviously someone has to run the ball, and as we said, Crowell is so up and down. So out of all these guys, I do really like that one. I think that is a sneaky one, but obviously one that you need a bench spot in order to wait and find out because it's going to take multiple weeks still.
But okay, that's pretty much it for the actually position players I have. So might as well look and see if we can figure out who we should stream at quarterback this week, if there is an option. Which I guess the way players are putting up points, there probably pretty much always is an option. And I'll say the main one, if he's still out there, because he's up to now 72. Streaming, you never know, but Trubisky would be my best option if he was still out there. But chances are he's picked up in your league now. So he probably isn't. Alex Smith actually against Atlanta is not a bad play. Atlanta's not been good, but maybe not. Peterson's probably just going to run the ball. That's probably what's going to happen here. But so if it is an Alex Smith, Baker Mayfield against the Chiefs, probably not. Chiefs haven't been great against the pass, but I can definitely see them just destroying Cleveland.
Yeah,
making life not easy.
Truly, I don't have anyone that I feel particularly strong about this time around. I'm still kind of waiting to hear about the Fitzpatrick and Jameis Winston kind of deal. I think one of them, whichever one you think is going to start, would probably be a better streamer than most. Other than that,
maybe Derek Carr had a good game playing in San Francisco, but Derek Carr, you just don't trust him.
He's been playing really, really poorly, but he is going against San Fran, like you said. So he kills Indianapolis. Finally has 3 touchdowns in a game. And
honestly, I might just go with Alex Smith if I was in this situation this week.
I think it's safer. Safe. Yeah, it's much safer.
You just know it's safe, and maybe he's going to get you 15 to 20 probably, and he could get you higher. So yeah, I might just take the safe route this week and not take my chances because I don't like. It's not like you're taking Derek Carr. I don't trust. I don't. Even if Fitzpatrick's the guy, Carolina's not the easiest team in the world to go against, but I still might. It's interesting. I might just take the safe route. Go Alex Smith. I think that's what I'm going to do. But would you do that or Fitzpatrick if he played?
Fitzpatrick all day.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
Just because the first game's usually the good one for him.
Well, even that, I think he. The worst thing that can happen with that situation is the fact that if he throws a couple picks, they can pull him right away and put Winston back in, which would absolutely kill you. But if you felt good that he was going to play the whole game, I think that he would produce more than Alex Smith.
Yeah,
because even when they were losing games, he wasn't a bad fantasy option.
Yeah, he really wasn't. He just could get that 3 or 4 pick game. You never know.
Yeah, more of my mind was actually going back to more of is someone like a Baker Mayfield going against KC?
Yeah.
Is he, obviously it's riskier, but would I be willing to take that, instead of going with Alex Smith, who hasn't, in the last 4 games, he hasn't gotten over 20 points yet, which is worrisome. The numbers look strangely similar every week. 178 yards on the button the last 2.
Yeah.
It is going against Atlanta, so maybe this is the week to do it. I don't know. I was wondering if there was any other guys that I'd be willing to take that risk with.
Probably not.
Nah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think anyone I feel strongly enough about.
Joe Flacco?
There's. I definitely not with him.
Eli Manning?
No, definitely
He's
not.
on bye, isn't he?
Is he? Oh yeah, they're on bye, right? Yeah. But even if it wasn't, no, definitely
God,
not.
doesn't he could be playing against a college team and I wouldn't play him. This guy's terrible. But all right, I think it's gonna do it for waivers. We actually had something to talk about a little bit more than we expected. Maybe I keep saying maybe one of these weeks we'll actually get a big time. If you've been holding like in the league, I don't like leagues that have, you just move up the list in the waivers, like the waiver claim thing. I like the free agent auction budgets like we do. But if you're in one of those leagues and you've like been holding on to that number 1 waiver ad, man, it's been a rough year.
It really, really has.
No one's there, but all right, that'll do it. We'll be back tomorrow with some rankings talk. Talk to you guys then.